kick on with the show then. We're going to talk Jack Grealish. Now, a couple of weeks ago, just after the season ended, a lot of people were talking about the way Jack was behaving on the stand after Man City lifted the title. He had a couple of drinks. I didn't have a problem with that at all. What I did say at the time, I did fear for him a little. I was a bit worried about how he was perceived, certainly how it looked when he went over to Ibiza and was seen pictured with Wayne Lineker. And I said at the time, while the season hadn't finished, I wasn't convinced that was the best thing for him to have done at that time. He still had 4 games coming up for England.
But it was supposed to be a little break Gareth Southgate gave the players just to recharge themselves, not just physically but mentally, wasn't it? So they could just have a little ease off.
And I felt at the time that wasn't the best image that he could have portrayed, going to a club in Ibiza, being seen in... I just felt at that time that with Gareth... Knowing the sort of manager that Gareth can be, I just wasn't convinced that was the best thing for him to have done. Now the season's over, I see him on the front page, and I do get the sense that Jack is one of those lads. He's got that little image, hasn't he? Which we all love. A little bit like Frank Worthington, George Best, Charlie George. Charlie George had that as well.
Yeah, there was like Stan Bowles was a big playboy at his time.
And Charlie
Peter Osgood at Chelsea.
Ozzy.
Yeah.
There was that that kind of culture where they were out clubbing and they were seen to be out clubbing, and only if the paps were getting them. Now things have changed. People, you don't have to be papped. You just have to someone who know you are. We saw at the weekend, of course, the CEO at Manchester United, how it can be done. I just wonder what your thoughts are.
You mentioned there, like the phones. So you'd be papped. In the old days, the playboys that we mentioned earlier, they'd have a sort of unwritten code with the journalist that the journalist really just stuck to football. Yeah. And there was a trust amongst the journalists, wasn't there? It was going to be their football. And then if they made the front page news, that wasn't the football journalists. That was obviously the journalists who wanted the big stories and the big money. The thing with Jack Grealish is he's 26, right? I haven't got a problem at all with what he's done this time. He's a young man. He's 26 years of age. His team's just won the Premier League. He's had a big money move for 100 million quid, where he's been under pressure. To be honest, Man City fans, they saw more of him regularly than what we did. We just see him, when we see him on Sky and BT Sport and all that stuff. You'd say that he had an average season because his stats weren't great. Was it 26 Premier League, 3 goals, which you'd expect a bit more.
Yes.
38 games in all, 6 goals total. So he didn't cement a regular place. And I think he struggled because at Aston Villa, he was the main man, where everything was all around him, where he was a big fish, small pond. He's gone into big fish, massive ocean, and he's completely different, where they're world-class players that he's playing with, right? So he's gone up another level, and he said he struggled. Him going away and having a few sherbets with his mates because they've won the Premier League, I don't think any Man City fans would be bothered about that whatsoever.
No, but we're kind of widening it to other fans of other clubs about their players if they were seen out, depending how the season's gone. If they hadn't won the title, let's say City lost the title that final day of the season. Let's say they did, right? Because they were very close. Let's be brutally honest about that. How would City fans be looking at Jack, or would he even have gone?
I think he still would have gone because he's taken all of his mates that he's known for ages and ages, right?
Been organised for a while,
and that's when someone, if he hadn't, I'm a gooner, obviously, and when we were playing, the fans didn't give a rat's backside if they saw us up the Holloway Road, traffic cone on your head, trays around your ankles. Honestly, if you'd won on the Saturday, it didn't really matter. Because they thought you've earned the right to go out and enjoy it. I know it's a different culture and different era because there's no phones and people...
Completely.
I'm so pleased there's no phones when we're around, by the way.
Look exactly the same here, very different time.
So what happens there is, and if lucky enough we won like a lot of our games and we was quite successful, so fans actually look back at that now and they go, we actually get the Tuesday squad, you're out, you're drunk, whatever. And you say, no, we weren't drunk on a Thursday, Friday. We went out and got drunk Tuesday, Wednesdays. Fans actually revelled in it. Because they thought, you see them in pubs and places, you have a beer with them, because you're winning. Yes. That's the be-all and end-all. The problem probably with Jack is, I think he still would have gone if they hadn't have won the Premier League. Because you said that's probably with all his mates that he takes, I don't know, it's probably like 10 of his mates out there. And then it's the narrative which he's playing to with the paparazzi and the press and the front page newsboys is, look at the amount of money. It's always the money, isn't it? £80,000 worth of champagne.
But that's...
But I'm saying
that's nothing. Not
to him.
That to him. But I think that if there's got to be a bit of context. If you're earning £200 a week, then £80,000 is not even half your week's wages. I don't think too many people have a problem with the money that they're spending either. I just wonder, with them now being worth so much money, I just wonder whether there are some fans out there that just look at that and think he should not be behaving in that way. He should be a professional. He shouldn't be going.
Thing I would say, Jay, is he's putting himself under. Could say there's a narrative there that he's the modern day playboy, isn't he? Well, we mentioned all the others before.
He ticks a lot of the boxes. He's a good looking boy. He's worth £100 million. He's playing for the best side in the country.
Yeah.
There's a lot to him.
He's not a shy lad.
Which you mentioned there about that narrative, which runs into that. I just looking at that now, I just wonder whether there's going to be a bit of a witch hunt from.
Well, I
sense it.
With him, all I would say to if you was advising him would be what you've just done there isn't a problem. What you said about the Ibiza going away because he had a big chance for England and didn't really take it. He had a couple of substitute appearances where he looked all right. The game that he started against Italy, they're all pretty lifeless and there was not a lot of imagination and he wasn't particularly great. He kept cutting inside all the time, didn't he? And he was like not taking players on 1v1.
No one really come out of that.
No, but that's his chance if he wants to not be the super sub.
Yeah.
The thing with Jack Grealish is what he's doing, he's putting himself under pressure, as you said there. He's putting himself under pressure because if you're playing brilliantly, right, and you're flying, nobody cares. If he starts off the season and he's not particularly great and Guardiola's looking at that in the press and what he's doing on social media, you just set yourself up a little bit when people will accuse you of not being 100% focused on your football. And if you was around him and advising him, none of his mates are going to... when people say, well, some of his mates should tell him to calm down, no one who's 25, 26 isn't going to say to their mate, calm down.
Fundamentally, he's doing nothing wrong.
No, absolutely.
He's doing nothing wrong. But it's the perception. I just wonder how, it's front page. It's not inside cover. It's not back page. It's front page news. And I said at the time when he went to Ibiza, and I said these very words, I just worry for him a little bit. I just worry that there's someone out there that's going to get him in an just get a picture and go. This is almost it, But the way that the story's been led, it's alluding to many things.
So do you think that he might need protecting from himself? Because if you really want to, there's loads of sportsmen out there and loads of superstars and world famous people that go out and party, but they have it privately. They have it in a private room, have their own guests in, and have their own security, and no one knows about it.
I don't think Jack wants to do private parties.
Well, no, I think
Jack likes to be out there, likes to be seen, likes to be front and there's nothing wrong with that.
There's something that I think he quite likes it, and he plays up to.
Let's go to the lines. 03717 223344. Get your calls in now. Steve is a Leicester City fan in Chester-le-Street. You're the first caller of the evening, Steve-o.
Stephen, I'm not though. I'm a Newcastle United fan who was in Chester Street, but I moved 2.5 years ago. I'm now in Ludworth.
Oh, you're in Ludworth? Oh, I see. So we have to change that. So I'll tell you what we do, Steve-o. Stay there. Let's go to the lines. 03717 223344. That's the number. Steve, the Newcastle United fan who lives in Ludworth, has dialed up. Steve, you're the first call of the evening. Make it a good one.
Just outside Durham. And first of all, I'd like to say
hold on. Just hold on.
I think take three. Hold on.
Okay.
Jason, introducing caller into the sports bar. Take three.
03717 223344. Let's go and speak to Steve, the Newcastle United fan in Ludworth, just outside Durham. Good evening, Steve-o.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Good evening, Jason. Good evening, Perry.
No, Steve-o.
You got your postcode there, Steve-o? I'll give that a shout and all.
Yeah. DH6.
No, don't do that. Steve, good evening. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Steve, before we go on with this phone call, what kind of a socialite are you? Are you one of those? Are you in the Jack Grealish mould? Are you a lad that likes to go out with the lads and have some fun?
I mean, I'm of the similar vintage to yourself and Perry. So I've got to think back 25 years.
So basically, it's yes. Then in that answer that question.
Well, I think the point was I have a wider point. First of all, I'd like to say to Perry, with absinthe, very well done. I've had that once. Did you know it was banned for God knows how many years in England after Charles Dickens' era?
Yeah, and I think a lot of the poets and artists in Europe struggled with it. Up at your neck of the woods, my lad went to Durham University, and apparently Ray and Nephew's quite popular up there, isn't it? Is it Ray and Nephew?
What's that?
Ray and Nephew? That's quite popular.
Ryan's nephew?
Ray and Nephew.
Oh, Ray and Nephew.
It's the same sort of thing, as absinthe.
Is it? Yeah. I haven't heard of that one, I must admit. But
every day's a school day.
Steve, we out next weekend. What did you get up to the weekend, Steve? Are you out? What'd you do?
Yes, but I was watching cricket, and this is a wider point because I'm a big Newcastle fan and Bruno Guimaraes fan, obviously.
Right.
Fantastic player, but I'm also a rugby union fan, a cricket fan, and I was talking to guys, and I think it's a shame with modern day celebrity culture that Alan Shearer couldn't, if he fancied go to Durham Cathedral and have a look around because he gets mobbed. He couldn't
Durham
walk.
Cathedral pub.
Known as the church.
It is a World Heritage Site, Jason.
Right.
But it's like rugby players and cricketers are good lads, so are footballers. Rugby players and cricketers can have a sort of, socialise when they want to. Footballers are, well, they seem as though they can't. And
why do you think that is?
It's because of the modern day celebrity culture. Plus, football is so massive, and if a footballer walks out there, he can't walk 10 yards before somebody wants a selfie. And I think that's a bit of a shame. And so with Jack Grealish, I mean, football is a right mixture. Some of them will, like him, love socialising, love going to a club. He's a proper athlete. And if he wants to go to Ibiza for a week, that's fine. If he turns up at Manchester City, which he won't do, and not 100% in shape, he won't get picked. But I think it's a massive overreaction just to say he's a pro footballer, so until he's 35, he can't go to a nightclub. He can't do what he wanted to do with his mates.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Thanks for the call, Steve.
Do you know what Steve made a point there, with comparing with cricketers and rugby players? Footballers are superstars, aren't they? They are
the rock stars. They're modern day rock stars.
With film stars and rock stars. When Steve was saying there about the era that we played in is the same sort of vintage as us, if you followed football, there's a chance that you might know who we were. If you didn't follow football, then you wouldn't.
Yeah,
you don't have to follow football now to know who the top players are.
Raheem Sterling.
Exactly.
Yes,
Everybody.
Harry Kane.
Because of agents as well, with your followers, is it on Twitter and your profile?
Yes.
And
you're standing in social media, whether it be on Twitter or
we saw Calvert-Lewin in the papers yesterday because he's got the fashion contracts, isn't he? Was he in Milan or Paris or somewhere, a big fashion show?
Probably.
And it's how many followers you have and how many hits you have, and you obviously get sponsorship deals. So there's a part that feeds it as well. So it's not just all of the press's problem, because their argument would be, right, if you want privacy and you don't want us to report on what you're doing, don't be so high profile on Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram and whatever.
It's true though, with the cameras now, you can get photographed in one part of the world, and within seconds it could be passed around the world itself.